Oh, good. Beautiful. All right. Welcome, everyone, to Hour of Power. I'm going to bring you a teaching this morning that's really important in the sense of understanding how we work and how the spirit realm works and how things affect us. And I also want to challenge some of the teachings out there that are a little bit misrepresented. Obviously, I'm sharing from my experiences and my point of view. Everyone's entitled to their own, perspective. We're all at different levels of truth and different levels of learning. And, part of, like I've always said, what I do here is I'm bringing to you my experiences. So these are my truths because I've had an encounter with them, or the things that I've been shown in the spirit. And if it resonates with you, great. I'm noticing that people are coming because I am resonating with them. And when I get to speak with you guys one-on-one, that is what, you say to me. You go, oh, you resonate. I get what you're saying. I feel where you're coming from. And that's really important because what we're establishing here is the tribe that we are connected with. This is not for everybody. We've had people, say, oh, this isn't prayer. It is prayer. Remember, I talked about what prayer is. Prayer is communication. So I'm communicating in a prayerful way for you to grab hold of the things of the spirit. So I'm going to do a teaching today on how some of the things happen around us. And if you've got a pen and paper, that would be great. I'll give you a second to do that. And I've got amazing Jenny with me. She's going to help with the sharing the slides that I've prepared for you. Because I really want to give you a picture of the fundamentals of how things work to help, bring some of the teachings that I've brought to you in a deeper way, that you can refer to this picture and realize and get discernment of what is actually happening. So, and part of this is, and this I love this word, it's a souloscopy. So we're going to go on a journey of a souloscopy. In fact, I'm even going to do a bit of a session where people can go down that road and let's unpack what's happening in your soul as well as what's happening in the spirit and how the two connect. All right. So, Jenny, could you please bring up the slide that has the basic one on it? I'm sorry, that's not very clear.
Are they? Well, you've got them in order, so I will just.
Okay.
This is the whoops, that's not the first one. This is the first one I see.
Okay, beautiful. So everyone can see that. So let's do a breakdown here. So we're told, and this diagram is universal, so many people bring this diagram out and they, shift it or change it the way that they interpret it. So having a look at that screen here, and if you want to draw it, please go right ahead. So we're looking at the spirit is our core being. Then we have our soul, which is our mind, will, and emotions. And then we are in a body, or as some people refer it to as a meat suit. I don't particularly like that. I feel that sounds a bit crass because this body is incredible. It is incredibly designed. We are absolutely amazing miracles every second of the day to function as we function. Now, as you'll see on this diagram, it talks about in our soul realm, that's where fear and anger and infirmity and lust comes. And because of the emotion of the fear and anger can then produce the fruit of pain or cancer or sickness or infirmity. All right. But there's a lot of teaching about, the soul gets possessed by evil spirits. That is not truth. There is a difference between being oppressed, depressed, and possession. And I want to bring that clarification because there's a lot of teaching now that everything is demonized, and that is not the truth. So I want to tackle that today, but explain it a bit more. So your spirit is your, as I said, your core being. We are all a spirit. We function in different levels in the spirit according to the awareness and the encounters that we have. So part of releasing our spirit to come into its true authenticity and its true expression is that we are needing to deal with some of our soul issues. Remembering our soul is our mind, will, and emotions. And, you know, people say that our soul is the driver's seat of our body and also our spirit. But I want to show you, by the end of this, I will show you the true alignment of that. So in our soul realm, we are, as we're aware, we get programmed in it through our mind of the things that we think or things that we're told that we can and can't do. We often have hurts and traumas that are connected to our soul because of our emotions. And this is where we can feel hurt or disappointed or angry or, situations that are happening to us. It can come from traumas of our childhood. These are all the things that sit in our soul and in our mind, will, and emotions, then keeps us trapped in it. Okay, this is why forgiveness is such a powerful tool, and letting go of negative soul ties. This is part of, some of you that have done sessions with me, is that we're cutting negative soul ties because we're releasing our mind, will, and emotions to be free from those traumas, those hurts, those influences that have come through our programming or our situations in life that we are, experience, and that we, Obi, can you please, sorry, darling, can you please not put your chat up because it's really distracting me at the minute. And I really want to have a flow on here. So if we could just not do the chats right now, I would really appreciate that. Thank you. So what happens is when, certain childhood experiences or belief patterns are set up as we grow up, right? And that can come from what we view in our family situation. It can come from, our experiences as children. And this is the fundamental area of our foundations. Okay, so as I've touched on, like my mum told me continuously that I was fat, ugly, and wasn't worth anything. So you can imagine what that did to my mind, will, and my emotions. Okay, the same as you all have a similar story or a story like it, where there's been influences that have programmed you to start to believe a lie. And that becomes your foundation through life. So, and then we wonder why we continue these patterns or these familiar things that keep happening. And we want to push through. We want change. We want freedom. We want to discount the lie. But then it's like a bungee rope that pulls us back into the same way of thinking or the same way of circumstances, or we connect with people that are similar to our past traumas and hurts. All right. And I'm going to go into that a bit later. And that is where we need to clean up the soul area. We need to bring healing and, truth to our mind, will, and emotions of who we really are and who the Creator created us to be, and his thoughts and his heart towards us. It's imperative. If we can deal with the things in the soul, but if we don't replace it with truth, the lies come back in again, right? So if you want a scripture that goes with that, it's like, the devil, you can clean out a house, and then the burglar will come in and see what else he can possess again, so to speak. And it's like once we clean up areas in our lives, we need to fill it with truth. We need to fill it with, again, like I said, how the heart of God towards us. And what his purpose and plan for us. So these lies and these foundations that we've experienced is a distortion of who we really are and who we were designed to be. Now, let me tell you, every single one of us already has our purpose written on our hearts. And what can often happen is our hearts are wanting what it's designed or what its purpose is, but it's in conflict with what our mind, will, and emotions have been programmed with. So the fruit of this is we rise up in our heart and our spirit to move forward into what we feel, that is our passion, what is our desire, what we feel is our purpose. And then the hurts and the traumas and also the lies of our soul will pull us back again. So there's this constant like this happening in our lives. And then what we had a big flow of workshops of, wellness and self-improvement. And people are going to these things paying astronomical amounts of money because we're all looking for truth. We're all looking to connect to who we were really designed to be. And then what happens is they are given mantras, or they're, told that they've got to clean up all their chakras, or, you've got to go to all these different, do all these different formulas and go to these different programs. And these are all the wordings that are out there with, the retreats and the workshops and everything else like that. And you know what I'm talking about. There are some very, very good workshops. There are some very, very good retreats, but not all of them are good. I know of a young girl that went on a retreat that, was going to clear all these entities and energies and all that sort of thing. And it ended up opening herself up to actually getting possessed. And she had to be set free from that. Like, we are in a time where our discernment needs to really be, in full flight of questioning and, processing what's happening and what people are saying and looking at the heart of the people. And go with that. Honestly, please go with that. Our spirits are more in tune than what we give them credit to, and we hear more than what we give ourselves credit to. It's what happens is our programming in our mind, will, and emotions debunk what the spirit is trying to tell us or what the spirit's trying to lead us into. So once we clean up our soul area, right, and forgiveness is a huge key in that, guys. I can't get away from that. Because if you, and I've said it before, if you've got unforgiveness or you've got resentment or bitterness or even regret, what happens is you're drinking poison and hoping someone else dies. It doesn't work. So we need to come back to ourselves and release all of that. Again, forgiving someone doesn't mean you forget. It doesn't mean we just put a white blanket over everything and just expect them to change when that is the pattern in their life. That is how their emotions will and mind is programmed, and they will always act out of that if they don't have breakthrough and freedom and healing in that area of themselves. So where it says evil spirit, it's not, an evil spirit cannot possess your soul, in the sense of it will try to influence through your hurts and traumas or your foundational beliefs. That's where it will try and influence. Okay, but you have power over that. I want you to remember, we all have power over everything that I'm sharing with you that's negative and positive, because you can decide how much of everything that you want to happen in your life. So did you all get that? Because I want to move on to the next slide. So the next slide is the wiggle one. All right. So here, see the wiggle, 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 all the wiggles. So what happens here is, this is the outside influence, right? These are the things that are coming at you from the world around us. That wiggle is people's opinions. It's the energy and the mindset of other people that's trying to come at you. Now, what happens here, if we don't clean up our mind, will, and our emotions and bring healing and transformation and release, the outside influences then connect with what's going on in the inside of you. This is where the law of attraction comes into place, where we attract people. And as I gave an example last week, if you're constantly, your belief system is that you have no worth and that you are rejected, you will attract people similar. Now, and they'll come from around you, right? So what's within is without. So they'll come around you. You'll be best buddies for 5 minutes, and then next minute they'll be rejecting you and you'll be rejecting them, because this is the familiar spirit that's occurring. It's like we attract. And then if we've got hurts or we've got angry, have you ever noticed that angry people gang together and they actually run in gangs? Because it's a familiar spirit that they're attracted to. And the spirit that's, that's influencing your mind, will, and emotions, right, is attracting those sort of people, because it makes you justified in your anger. It makes you justified in your fear or whatever else is going on with you, right? That's why it's important. So remember, that's a spiritual influence. It's an evil influence, if I can put it that way, will attract the same influence that will be detrimental to you. The enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy. So if he can keep your soul bound up in the lies of you're not good enough, you have no worth, you have no value, and then the outside influence comes in and it's telling you the same story, that is a contract. Now, some of you would have learnt, everything is a contract. Everything is an offer. You can decide whether you want to accept that offer or you want to not accept that offer. So this is what's happening to all of us. There's not a person that this doesn't happen to, all right? This is universal. So if we can go to the next slide, please, Jenny, with the big circle in the middle. Yes, perfect. Now see this big purple sort of a circle that I've drawn? When your spirit is in right alignment with the spirit of the Creator, the God spirit, right? It can be, if Jesus is, Jesus is an incredible, powerful name in the spirit realm. What he did and what he represents on this earth I'd never discount that. I've had incredible encounters with Jesus, and no one can talk me out of that because I've had those personal encounters. He's helped me transition in ways that are undescribable. But I also get that everyone is different. So, and remember, I'm not really big on the middleman. I like to go to the top. So I have a direct connection with God. Some people don't, in their psyche, remember their soul, they don't feel that they can come before God. So to go through the Spirit or Jesus is more comfortable for them, right? But they are levels. They are, there's, you can go straight to God. You can connect with the Creator. I mean, God speaks to me directly. It's not because I'm anyone special, but it's because I've hungered for that and I've pushed in the Spirit for that, because I always want more. I never ever settle, guys, because you will stop your growth of extraordinary events and extraordinary encounters that are yours. Even when you feel like you're going through a tough time, honestly, that tough time can be used to strengthen you. You can strengthen yourself in it. You can grow in your awareness, and and you, instead of looking back at it as a hard time, look at it as a time of growth, a time of transition. Now, all these things I'm saying is all about your mindset. In that soul realm, if you feel like you are a continual victim, you will always stay a victim and you will always be a victim. And people that prey on the victims is what you will attract from the outside. Make sense? So when you are in right relationship with the Creator from your spirit, you have healed your mind, will, and emotions, and that is a continual journey. It's not once off. And I have to be honest, I had an incredible encounter. It was transformational. It was transcendent. It was incredible, and there was a lot of change instantly. It was like one day I was one person, the next day I was another. But God works with who you are. Not everyone can handle that. And I've touched on that before. It's I want it and I want it all now type of a person. And God had to teach me patience. Someone asked me the other day, have you always been this patient? I'm like, no. But I've learned to be at rest. I've learned to sit in God and trust Him. Was it a journey? Yes. Because I didn't have, not so much parents, but yes, my parents influence how I view people, how I view God. In that, my dad was really passive, so I looked at God as being really passive. So that was a big shift when I realized that was in my belief system, that was in my mind, will, and emotions. That was what I believed. And once God said to me, you think I'm passive? And it was like, yes, I do, because you take a long time to answer my prayers. In other words, God, you take a long time to answer my communication with you. So once that shifted, it was like the heavens just opened to another realm, and another dimension. Had I already been experiencing levels of communication with God? Yes. But then there's more, and you can go deeper, you can go higher, you can go wider, you can go further. So when you have breakthroughs in these areas and you address some of these lies of your foundation and truth, the purple line then becomes the spirit, and it protects you. See how I've drawn it between the body and the outside influence? It becomes your protection. It becomes, again, scripturally, God says he's behind you, he's before you, he's around you. And that's where Isaiah 91, if you break down each one of those verses and go into each verse, don't just read it like a book. Go into that verse and meditate on it, like read it and let it percolate in your spirit. And there's amazing encounters and there's amazing revelation in scripture. But again, not all scripture, because we know, has been manipulated by Constantine and Pope George in the year 5034, I think it was, roughly around there. After Jesus died, did all this amazing work, and the populace just was going, full on for God, connection with God. And then the Romans went, oh, hang on, we're losing control of the people. So we'll bring the church and the government together and we'll control the populace. And that's exactly what they did, to the point that we have been, under Roman control to this very day. And this is part of the shifting that's occurring in the world, where, things are being exposed. But the Roman Empire didn't end. It just sat itself up as the Vatican and then took over the world with religion. And that's what we're coming out from under. And that's where our mind, will, and emotions have been programmed by religion. And we want to come out from underneath that, and we're breaking that, we're coming through that. And that's why it's really important that you have an open mind to hear what other people have to say. Open your heart to hearing other people's experiences and how they have encounters with God that is different to the formulas that have been presented to us through religion. You don't need to go to church to have an encounter with God. You don't need a priest or a pastor or a minister to tell you how to think or what you can and can't do. And I know ministers that, if two people want to get married in their congregation, they have to have, it's the minister says they can or they can't. What the heck? You have a free will. So what we're starting to step into is expressing our free will and the power that's within us. So what is in the center of that picture? Your spirit. When your spirit is connected with the Creator and you start to walk in the authenticity of His desire and heart for you and in right relationship, all those influences, that wiggly line, cannot touch you unless you let it. There are many things that have come at me that it's like a choice. It's like an offer. It's like, will I let that influence me? Will I let it take me out? Or will I choose to stand in what I know is my truth, that I am loved, that I am precious, that I'm important, and I have value on the earth? And this is what makes you a creditor. Again, these are languages that Carl will talk about. It's Carl Washington in Empower. And this is even Rev 18. It's like we're coming out from Babylon. So what are we doing? We are becoming creditors instead of the debtors. Debtors means you're enslaved, right? Debtors means you don't get to think for yourself. When you're a creditor, you are in freedom. You ask questions, you have choices, and you get to choose, because everything on this planet is an offer. The same as being here this morning. We created a space and it's an offer. Come and join, come and learn, come and grow, but it's your choice. Some of you might be sitting here and get off the call and go, well, whatever. That's your choice. Does your choice affect me? No. Because it's your choice. It's your free will. So coming into, and I talk about alignment a lot, is that when you come into right alignment, this is the picture that you want to be. Your spirit, and take all that negative stuff out, right? The lust, the fear, the anger, infirmity, evil spirit, you take all of that out. You're in right standing with God. You've got healing in your heart. Your mindset is changing to knowing who you are. You're rejecting the old programming. You're breaking the spell of religion, and you're stepping into your true identity and purpose. And then the spirit is always around you, protecting you, guarding you. And that outside influence, that wiggly line, cannot penetrate. Will it try? Yes. Do you have a choice? Yes, always. You always have a choice. You always have a choice on how you react. And there's a difference between reacting and responding. And this is, a lot of us know and understand, yep, that person overreacted, but when you learn to sit back and respond rather than reacting, you will always stay in a higher dimension. Why is that? Is because you are not letting your mind, will, and emotions rule. You are staying spirit to spirit. Right? Your spirit's connected to the creator. And so the body and soul in this picture then is encased spirit to spirit. And that way you are always in, people talk about God's will and they're not sure what God's will for them is, or they misappropriate the will of God by, oh, God's testing me and putting me through trials. And that, no, that is all about mindset, and that's all about your focus, and it's about programming. And that is the biggest lie. Honestly, it is a huge lie. It's a huge spell that people come under. It's the same as, oh, well, you must be doing something right if the devil's attacking you. The devil isn't allowed to attack me. I am protected by God. Does he try to see if he can get in? He's trying to find a chink in the armor. Where can he hook onto? If my emotions react and I feel rejected, or I come from a place of being insecure, then he'll try and hook onto that and ride that lie, because the enemy is a liar. He is an accuser. So anything that has accusation on it, again, start to, be aware of these outside influences of what's coming at you. Is there accusation on it? Is there, a lie? Is it trying to find something it can hook on into you? Now, let me explain to you how you know. It will rise up on your inside. How many of you have gone into a room feeling really awesome, and then someone makes you feel really insecure? Yep, we've all experienced it. So you have a choice. Do you come under the insecurity, or do you rise above it? And this is what happens to people. It's like you walk into a room and you feel insecure. It's like you shrink. You're like this, and you want to hide in the corner. And that's a choice. Okay. Now can I say, there are times where I've kind of done that and I've gone, hang on a minute, what's going on here? I'm not coming under this. These are my thought processes. This is what I'm always doing. I'm always having this conversation. I'm always asking myself questions. If something's gone wrong in my day, I'll come home and I'll go, okay, what how did that happen? What happened there? You need to process what's happening. This is where you connect with, stay in tune with the spirit. Again, you're walking in right alignment. So it's spirit to spirit. And the body and the soul is under the government of your spirit to spirit. So then you're in right alignment. If your soul is ruling and reigning with you, that's your mind, will, and emotions, everything's erratic. Everything's all over the shop. You're reacting, you're, feeling 1 minute you're happy, next minute you're sad, because this is what is governing you. So when we are spirit to spirit, we are above all things. We are over all things. If you want a scripture for this is where you are seated in heavenly places, because you are above, not beneath. And that's even last week I said, are you above your thinking or are you below it? That's the importance. That's the shift, guys. If you grab hold of this principle, you will make a big shift in your life. You will start to process things. When you're in a relationship, if your husband says something and you react, why did you react? What's triggered there? Don't attack him. Go away and ask yourself, why am I reacting? Is there a hurt? Is there a trauma? Is there a wrong belief set that I'm reacting to that needs to be dealt with? And this is why when you truly walk with like-minded people, that we don't have conflict, because we're walking away and we're looking at ourselves first. We're not coming with accusations. Well, she said this and she did that and she looked at me the wrong way and the pastor didn't talk to me or he didn't say hello, and we get all offended and all rejected and we stay stuck in that cycle. These are keys for you to have full breakthrough in your life. And when you have breakthrough within, you will have breakthrough without. And then you start to create the world that you want to live in, because we are co-creators with God. That's what we were designed to do. That's why we're here. And this is the shift. We are moving into this incredible, golden era, if you want to call it, this incredible, shift of this awakening, that people are coming into understanding who they really are and who God is for them. Now, another tool I want to give you here, guys, see your soul area. When there can be, let me put it this way, there can be negative soul ties, right? So there's negative ties with your mind, will, and emotions, or there can be positive ties to your mind, will, and emotions. So when you have a happy memory, that is connected to a happy soul tie. It's a mind, will, and emotion event. When you have a negative soul tie, where you have a bad memory, or you have a memory that makes you sad, or a memory that makes you feel angry, that is a negative soul tie. So part of, having breakthrough is knowing when to break negative soul ties. You can cut them. You can just go, nah, I'm releasing that negative soul tie. I'm releasing forgiveness into that situation. And you are then setting your spirit free, right? Your spirit is your innermost core. You are setting it free from the blockages of your soul through those negative ties. And then it will help you have a perspective of that person will change. You will look at them and you will see them differently, because you are now no longer seeing them through your own hurts and your own traumas. You are seeing them through the eyes of God. Remember, spirit to spirit. And we start to see the value in one another, and we start to have a heart for one another the way that God actually designed it. And we start to connect, we start to care, we start to show up. We start to then have heart-to-heart connection, which is called cardionosis, where I can be thinking about Jenny and all of a sudden I'll know what's happening for her because there's a heart connection. I think about different ones that are on this platform every week, and then God will show me your faces, or he'll show me your name, and then I'll hold you up in the spirit. I don't need to know what's going on for you. I just know that I'm lifting you up higher and calling you up higher to come into what your heart desires. Now, if you want to stay in your hurts and traumas, that's your choice. Go for it. Your choice. But if you're hungry for more of God and that intimacy and the things that are available to us in the spirit, then these are the things that we shift. Now, I'm giving you this tool because each and every one of you can do this. When you guys come and do a session with me, I'm helping you get through the blockages or the walls that have been created. Can be generational, which we've talked about. Because remember, this wiggle outside here is generational curses. It's generational vows that are trying to get in. And often they have a hook into our soul because it's generational. It means it's being passed on. So this is where a familiar spirit can ride as well, or the energy of negativity, or all those learnt or passed down behaviors can be broken. One of the things that I did before I had, when I was going to have children, was I didn't want to bring up my kids the way that my mum brought us up. It was like, I didn't want to have kids, actually. I was like, I don't want to have kids because I don't want to reproduce this, because I was angry and I was, frustrated and didn't really want to be here, and, everything that rode on it, because it was like, well, if that's my role model of being a mother, I don't want to inflict that on a child. So I went on the journey of recognizing these patterns and this programming. And when I had my children, every day I was very conscious of making sure I didn't do things the way my mother did it. And in the end, it was just an easy flow, because I was aware of, if I went to do something like my mum would have done, I pull myself up. It's about growing in your self-awareness. That is absolutely imperative in this time, to grow in that self-awareness, and then in God awareness. And that's how you move through. That's how you come up, get closer to God and the Creator. There was a bit of a chatter quite a few years ago where people going, well, where did you come from? I don't know if you guys heard this. It's like, oh, what planet do you come from? Or they talk about past lives, a lot of reincarnation chatter. And, look, my perspective on that is, I think God's big enough that he doesn't have to, recycle us. It's like, I don't need to be recycled. God is big enough to create new beings and new people to have a journey on this life and bring what they need to bring. on the earth. So I'm not big into reincarnation, and people talk about, oh yeah, in a past life I was this and I was that. And I'm like, whatever. My personal opinion, guys. So one day I said, God, where did I come from? I asked him, I said, where did I come from? Yes, my parents were the channel that I came through, but where did I come from? And this is what he said to me. He said, you came from my heart. When you get the revelation of knowing that you have come from the very heart of the Creator, from his very heart, it brings a huge shift. It's very humbling, but it brings a huge shift into your life and into your spirit, that you don't want to hang on to all your hurts and your traumas. You don't want to hang on to the wrong mindsets or the wrong programming. You don't want to hang on to anger. You don't want to hang on to fear, because in God there is no fear. And again, if fear rises within you, you don't have to partner with it. Fear, to me, is false evidence appearing real. You don't need to partner with that. That's what insecurity comes from. It's a fear that you're not good enough. And there are lots of people who will try and make you feel that way, because they're trying to feed their insecurity by squashing you down or making you feel bad so they feel good about themselves, right? It's all an offer. It's all a choice. No one can take your power away from you unless you hand it over, unless you relinquish it. No one can take away the relationship that I have with my Creator. Doesn't matter what they say or do, no one. Because I know that I know who I am in God and who God is in me and for me. So to change that mindset, it's what you listen to. It's who you surround yourself with. It's what you're reading. It's what you're watching that brings the shift. There are many people out there that have got heaps of podcasts, and they all seem to have an element of truth, but they don't have the whole truth. So can I say this to you guys? Yes, broaden your mind, listen to what other people have to say, but don't swallow everything hook, line, and sinker. The things that are true for you will resonate in your spirit. It will resonate. It's like the frequency on it will lift you up. And it's, it's almost like the song in your heart. It will, connect. And then the things that aren't true that they're saying, just put it aside. Sometimes it's like, put it on the shelf. If it is real truth, it will come to you at the time that you need to hear it and see it, because that's the growth and the journey that we're on. All right, Jenny, you can put down the slide, please, sweetie. Thank you for that. All righty. So I will open this up for questions, but it has to be a question about what I've shared with you, okay? So if there is a question, please, Laurie, you've got a question? Jenny, can you?
Bridget has raised her hand.
Yes, please. Bridget?
Hi, Dottie. I found it really helpful that you said, I did have a question, step away if you react. So
Yep.
do you find that if you're tired and like, just say you're cooking a meal and you're already tired and you're with your family and then somebody says something, is it more easily to react in those situations?
Absolutely. If you're tired, sometimes it's better to withdraw. Don't even, if you can't handle your family situation, and Bridget shared a little bit with me that, they're at you, sometimes you've got to choose just to separate yourself. And if they have an issue with it, it's their issue, not yours, because you're protecting what God is doing for you. You're growing in who you are, Bridget. So therefore, you are protecting the growth. Because, you know, if you start to then get caught up in their negativity, it will bring you down. And that's where we have the power. I don't hang around people that are negative. I don't hang around with people that gossip. I can't stand it. I hate it when people start pulling other people down, and, you know, just because it makes them feel good about themselves, right? You've got to understand the intent and the heart behind it. I will get up, I will walk away. I've walked out of, you know, dinner parties where people have gone, people are going, sorry, I can't, I'm not going to agree with it, because no response is a response. Our silence is acquiescence to what is going on. Our voice is our power. Our heart and our will is our power. How we respond is our power. And this is where we need to rise up, that we step up and be who we are called to be. And I want to address something here, is that if you are going on, you know, on the other prayer calls that, you know, Jenny does and Isaac does, and you're constantly looking for a word of knowledge or a prophetic word, you are a baby. And I'm sorry, you need to grow up, because Jenny and Isaac and all of these others are not here to cater to your whims of stroking your ego of getting a word. This is what I'm trying to tell you. When spirit to spirit, you can get your own prophetic words. You can get your own words of knowledge for what's happening for you and act upon it. People go to the prophetic, the move of the prophetic. It was all about, you know, I'm special, pick me out of the crowd, like, oh, wow, look at me. And the guys that were bringing the prophetic words, it was all about, look at me, look at me. It didn't actually bring transformation or breakthrough to a lot of people. All it did was tickle their egos and meet their agendas. We have to grow up. If you want a scripture for that, guys, it says, don't be like babes that need milk all the time. Stand up and start chewing the meat. And we are in a time where we have to start chewing the meat, and that is take responsibility for yourself. Take responsibility for your spiritual growth, your healing and your breakthroughs and your connection in the spirit. There is no magic wands that will do this for you. It is all a choice. When I had my encounter with God that was transformational, is I chose to say these words: God, I surrender my life to you and I accept you into my heart. It was that simple. There was nothing more to it. There wasn't a fanfare. There wasn't thousands of people around me where they're going, you know, don't get me started on the revivalist thing, but it was as simple as that. And the fact was, I chose to surrender my life. I did not have a bad life. People come up with their testimonies of, you know, look, I was a drug dealer and I killed 20 people, and, you know, I'm just so bad, and I was in a bikie gang, or all those sort of things. And then at the end, they tag on, and then I accepted Jesus. So they've just spent 20 minutes glorifying their life of depravity, or, you know, all that sort of stuff, and they're almost bragging about it. This is not everyone. Please hear my heart here. But they get into, and then I accepted Jesus. I don't actually like talking about my past, because that is not who I am. That was somebody else's life. I've stepped into this whole new life that's incredible. It's wonderful. It's extraordinary, because God is in it, and I'm full of him and he's full in me. And that's the shift.
So we have another question with Adam.
Go, Adam.
Yeah, hi. I just like with forgiveness and repenting, that I can do that straight with God. I don't have to go to a church and tell a priest all my sins, do I? Because I kind of a bit
No, you do
journey with.
not.
I
You
don't
do
want it to
not.
be people.
You don't need to go to a priest or another person. You can go direct to God. If you've mucked up and you feel that in your spirit, like, I really missed it today, I was rude to that person and I shouldn't have been, God, please forgive me. When you ask for forgiveness, it's a clean slate. This is part, can I go here? The reason that the Catholic Church set up confessions is then they knew your dirty laundry and then they could hold it against you. This is what Freemasonries do. This is what Scientology do. They go, what's your deepest, darkest secret? And then they use it against that person to keep them entrapped. So if you've stuffed up, guys, if you've missed the mark, if you felt in your spirit, for an example, and I'll make it in monetary terms, you felt in your spirit that you needed to give someone $20 and then you went, no, I'm not giving it to him because I might need it. You've missed it. And then you go, I'm sorry, God. You were leading me in the spirit to help someone and I didn't. And then clean slate, tomorrow's a new day. So then the next day you feel, well, actually, often that opportunity will come back around for you to help that same person. All of a sudden you'll see them again a couple of days later, and there's your opportunity to rectify the action that you didn't take. But remember, everything is individual to you guys. You know how you hear the spirit. Let me tell you this, evil will never tell you to do good things. Because some people go, well, how do I know what's good and what's not? Evil will never tell you to help somebody. Evil will never tell you to sit with someone and love on them or help them or put their hand in their pocket. You've got to realize evil always comes to steal, kill, and destroy. That's his fundamental job on the earth. Why does he come after us? Because he hates us. Why does he hate us? Because we were made in the image of God. And that's why he comes after us. And he doesn't want us to co-create with God. He doesn't want us to bring the true heaven on this earth that we are all meant to live in and with and under. And that is the battle that we are in. But it's not a battle because we've already won. How do we win? We let goodness rise. We let kindness rise. We let compassion rise. And those three things diminish evil. It diminishes darkness. Darkness cannot stay where there is light. If you went into a dark room and you flicked the light switch, is darkness still there? No, it can't stay. When you walk into a room and you're in right relationship with God, spirit to spirit, you walk into the room, light shines, evil runs away. It might try and come at you, but it'll eventually walk out with a tail between its legs. Stand in who you are. Stand in the incredible beings that you are. You are powerful people and you are so loved. When we realize how loved we are, if we get that on the inside of it. Did I grow up knowing I was loved? Absolutely not. My mother didn't even like me. And she didn't want me. Did she feed me? Yes. Did she clothe me? Yes. But did she love me? Not so much. Man, we used to butt heads because I couldn't understand why she rejected me all the time, why I was never good enough. And so can you shift your mindsets? Can you shift your programming? Can you break free from it? Yes, you can.
We got one last question from Obi.
Okay.
Thank you so much for the space, Dottie and Jenny. Blessing. Thank you so much. I thought this was a good moment to ask about giving, because I always want to give that drunk or that homeless person money. And I kind of ask, is this a moment to give it to them? Is this a moment, but I may be stuck, because am I perpetrating that continual behavior of alcohol and all that?
Yep.
I just am putting it here on the table because, and I'm sure it's an in the moment thing. But I sometimes feel like that one's just stuck in alcoholism and stuff. So that's my question. And what do you feel about those moments as they come quite often?
Yep. So this is part of understanding yourself, right? So being an empath, is a beautiful quality. It is a beautiful trait that when you, and I'm an empath, I'll give you the shirt off my back. And, I care for people. Even when I say I'm not going to do it, I do it. So what I've had to teach myself, because often it was at the detriment of myself. So if you do not have self-worth, you will always put others above yourself, and then you're in a situation that's not healthy, or you're in a situation where you can't pay your bills, but you're paying everyone else's bills. That is not right alignment, right? So this is where, if I feel in the spirit that I need to do something, I always double check it. Am I coming out of my emotions because I'm an empath and I feel people's pains and I feel, for people deeply? Or is this what you're asking me to do? Is this the right answer for that person? Okay, if you're giving money to an alcoholic, where's he going to put that money? Right? So, if there is a deeper root to people that have alcohol issues, there are hurts and traumas. There's programming, everything that I've talked about today that keeps them locked in drinking, because drinking numbs them, and it stops them having to deal with what's going on in the inside. One of the hardest things to do is see people go through things and God says, don't do anything, because this is their time to grow. This is their time to get breakthrough. So this is where you ask the question. You constantly ask those questions. And it doesn't matter if you ask the same question 10 times to get the clarity. Ask the question till you get the clarity. That person may just need, you might be better off to offer them a meal and a cup of coffee and sit with them and let them pour out their heart. Let them know that someone cares for them, right? Like, I've done many trips overseas and you see a lot of poverty, but if you just give the money into their hands, they'll go and do what they always do. So what you do is you go, okay, you need food in the fridge. Let's go to the shop and I'm going to pay for the food and put it in your fridge. It takes more time, but it's solving a problem, not just feeding a habit. Right, someone just put up a question, something about insecurity, Jenny. I want to answer that. Insecurity comes from fear. And why does it rise up on the inside? Because it's fear. It's fear that you're not good enough. It's fear that you don't fit in. It's fear that you're going to be rejected. It's a fear. All security is based on a fear, and none of us in right relationship and connection with God should have insecurity, because insecurity is actually, and I'm going to call it this, is a sin, because you're telling God the way he created you, he didn't do a very good job. When he's given us everything we need, we just need to clean up the lies and the programming that have been afflicted onto us. That's what we're breaking out from under. All right, I wanted to put, I'm sorry, we've gone over time. I hope you're all good, and I hope that you enjoyed that, and I hope that brought some clarity for you, and some more tools. And, you know, with everything that we've taught about in the spirit, these are all available, and this is how it all works for you. But I was going to play you a song, but it's not going to work. So I'm going to save it for next week. There we go. I'm going to do that. Jenny, are you there?
I am here, yes.
All right. So we'll finish up. Let's just communicate, shall we? Let's just pass a blessing over every single one of you. Thank you for being here. God, I thank you for your presence. I thank you for your power. I thank you for our free will to choose and partner with you every minute of the day, every day of every minute, into all that you have for us. I release the spirit of insight and wisdom and revelation onto every single person. I just bind all the negative influences and energies that are coming at them or trying to take hold of them. Let there be freedom of mind and freedom of spirit right now coming to every single one of them. And God, that they are stepping into right relationship, right alignment of true governance with who they are and who you created them to be. I just release the power and the presence and the love of God into every single one of you. Now, everyone take a breath of that incredible love and that acceptance. And I want you to say, I am more than enough.